In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Assalamu alaikum, dear students. Our today's topic is external word structure, processes, and morphology. This is your instructor, Maryam Iqbal, for the course Morphology and Syntax. So, dear students, morphology is the aspect of language concerned with the internal structure of words, and you can say the external structure of words too. And languages vary in the extent to which they rely on morphological structure. So consequently, it is not clear whether morphology is a basic element of a linguistic structure or whether it emerges from systematic regularities between the form and meaning of the word. So let's study about it one by one. What is morphology? Morphology is the study of the structure of words. So you can say morphology is the science and study of the smallest grammatical units of language and of the formation into words, including inflection, derivation, and composition. Paradoxically, however, the concept of word itself defies simple definition. In English, for example, words tend to be smaller than the sentence. It is understood, you already know about it. And the combined words to form sentence. It is also obvious that we combine a group of words to make it a sentence. So one tricky thing, however, is that in many languages, a single word has sentence meaning. So morphology is, you can say, a level of structure between the phonological and the syntactic. It is complementary to syntax. Morphology is the grammar of words, syntax the grammar of sentences. So the way morphemes combine to form words is known as the morphology of a language system, whereas syntax refers to the form of the arrangement of words in phrases and sentences. Agreement, for example, is a morphological feature, and word order is syntactic feature of language system. Let's study further. What is meant by external structure? By external structure of the word, we mean its morphological structure. So, every language has its own rules about the structure and the formation of its words. Affixation occurs when a morpheme is attached to a root, you can say. And words are not the most element sound meaning unit. Some words are structurally complex. So the most elemental grammatical units in a language are morphemes. You can say morphology is crucially connected to syntax, and word formation is the most highly engaged subject in morphology. For example, in the word post-impressionist, the following morphemes can be distinguished. You can distinguish all the given morphemes in this word, that is post-impressionist. The prefixes post, im, the root press. The root word here is press. So the non-forming suffixes un, ist, and the grammatical suffix of plurality when you add s into a word or a verb or a noun, you can say. So all these morphemes constitute the external structure of the word post-impressionist. So you can just take the idea about the external structure. So dear students, morphology in the English language is important because of its crucial impact on one's understanding of lexicon and how one interprets that lexicon in a sentence. So however, its importance is in more than just one's correct interpretation of a sentence. It is also an important aspect in the language which allows the use and entry of new words into English. So the combination of different morphemes in the English language has proven itself an important aspect in the development of the language. Throughout the history, words have been often put together with other words to create new words and more descriptive words. For example, the word like deadlock, which is a combination of two words put together, like dead to die and lock to be like chained or have no access to. So when the two words are put together in, you can say, meaning becomes an exaggerated way of expressing that the process or progress has stopped. So things have become stagnant or inactive. So it can also, you can say, refer to a cell that would be used for solitary confinement of a prisoner. So you can say every language which can be like broken down into components can be studied by morphology. So to examine morphology of English, we need to first understand the components of a word. When we look at the smallest grammatical unit in English, we are talking about a morpheme, or you can say a morpheme is the smallest meaningful unit of language, making it different from a word. So, dear students, what are the morphological process? So, a morphological process is a mean of changing a stem, the root, to adjust its meaning to fit its syntactic, means according to the syntax and communicational context. So dear student, it has different kinds: affixation, prefixation, suffixation, and then there is circumfixation, infixation, modification, and reduplication as well. So we'll study all about them one by one. So dear students, language is nothing but a set of human habits, the purpose of which is to give expression to thoughts and feelings, and especially to impart, or you can say announce them to others. So language is a body of words and systems for their use common to a people of the same community or nation. So it is communication by voice using arbitrary symbols and conventional meaning. So this is what the language is. So let's study about the basic concepts and terms. So you can say morphology, the study of the structure of words and how words are formed from morphemes. So it is just a simple introduction. So morphemes, you can say, are the ultimate element of morphological analysis. They are, so to speak, like you can say morphological atoms. So morphemes, the smallest unit of language that carries meaning. So you can call what is morpheme? It is the smallest unit of language that carries meaning. Morpheme is a sound meaning unit, and then again morpheme, it's a minimal unit of meaning or grammatical function. So the level of language at which sound and meaning combine, it is also called morpheme. Then there are two types given about morpheme which are very important: free morpheme and bound morpheme. Free morpheme, lexical and functional morpheme. So you can say a morpheme that occurs alone or can stand alone is a free form. It does not require the presence of another morpheme. In other words, such as morpheme does not need the support of any other element. All content words are free forms. For example, house, church, girl, cat, walk, sea, red, short, book, water, etc. Bound morpheme. So derivational and inflectional these are. So you can say a second class of morphemes called like bound form. It contains elements that must always be attached to some other element. It needs other elements, you can say. So they cannot occur or stand alone. In words like watery, invisible, reader, possibility, madness, cats, and manly, we can identify such morphemic particles as y, in, t, ness, etc. we have used there. So their meaning is in their grammatical functions such as noun making, verb forming, or pluralizing, adjectivizing, and so on. So they can be attached to any other free forms of the same form class to construct similar segment. So isolated, they do not stand by themselves. So it is a simple introduction about free and bound morphemes. So we have already learnt about free and bound morphemes. So this is basic concepts and terms too. So stem, or you can say root or base, the morpheme to which other morphemes are added. The stem words like here free and bound we have given here, like teacher, teachers, dresses, unkind, and then bound, for example inept, unkempt, etc. So you can say like free morpheme, a simple word consisting of one morpheme, for example housework, high, chair, wrap, etc. So they are words in themselves, they are complete words. And when you talk about the bound morphemes, the morphemes that must be attached to another morpheme to receive its meaning. So you can say like unkindness, un and ness are the bound morphemes requiring the root kind to form the word. Let's study the next page. Basic concepts and terms 3. Affix. So dear students, let's study about prefix, infix and suffix. So first of all, let's study about prefix. Pre means before, to add something before a word. So dear students, prefix are the letters that are added to the beginning of a word, as you can see in the given example. So you can use the word like re, which mean again, un, which mean not, and dis means you can use like opposite of any other word. So a prefix changes the meaning of a word. For example, I have an example in my mind, preschool. So the prefix is pre in preschool. So the prefix pre means before. So the word preschool means before school. So likewise infix. So infixes are relatively rare in English, but you can find them in the plural forms of some words. For example, there are some words in my mind like cupful, spoonful and passerby can be pluralized as cups full, this example spoons full, and passersby by using s as an infix. So then we talk about suffix. So suffixes are letters added to the end of a word, as you can see in the given example. Happy is the root word and ness is added over here. So a suffix also changes the meaning and the word class of a word, you can say. So there is an example in my mind like careless. The suffix is less in this word. So the suffix less means without. So the word careless means without care. So it was about the affixes. Let's study the next page. Word formation processes. So dear students, now we are going to learn about the word formation processes in detail. So it has different categories, different types. So you know that morphological process is a mean of changing a stem to adjust its meaning to fit its syntactic and communicational context. So there are different processes about it. So let's study about them one by one. The first one here is compounding, derivation, clipping, coinage, acronym, blending, back formation, echoism, fork etymology, antonomasia, and then reduplication. Okay dear student, let's study about all the given types one by one. These all are the word formation processes. Compounding is the first one. So actually compounding is the joining of two or more words into a single word, as in like hang glider, breakfast, long-haired, flower pot, sunflower, cupcake or butterfly. So Compounding is the process of putting words together to build a new one that does not denote two things but one, and that is pronounced as one unit. I have given some examples over here, like handbag. We use two words over here and make it a one word. Hand plus bag makes handbag. Wallpaper, wall plus paper makes one word, like wallpaper. Fingerprint equal to like finger plus print. So dear students, you know that compounding is the joining of two or more words into a single word. So such words are called compounds. They contain two or more words. So compounds may be written as like one word as in cornflakes, a hyphenated word like as in long-haired, then two words as in high school, you can say, and then compound words may take like three forms. It can take three forms like open compound, hyphenated compound, and close compound as well. So I'll give you some examples like sweet potato. It is the example of open compound. Then mother-in-law. It is example of hyphenated compound. And then second hand. It is the example of close compound. So what is the difference here? In open compound, I have used like sweet potato. These are simply used two words. In hyphenated compound, the word was mother-in-law. I have used hyphen over here. And then close compound, I joined these two words like second hand. I have written them together. Okay, let's study about the next one. Derivation. So derivation is the forming of new words by combining derivational affixes or bound bases with existing words, such as in teleplay or re-ask. So, dear students, derivation is the most common word formation process. Builds new words by adding morphemes. We add morphemes and make a new word. So word formation by affixes. How we do it? So by prefixes, we make it like unusual, mispronounce, mislead, etc. And by suffixes, what we do? Here there are some examples given over here, like careless, childish, faithful, etc. And prefixes and suffixes, they both are added into the root word, like disloyalty. So prefix is dis, loyal is the root word, and t you can say is the suffix. Likewise unerringly. So there are some more examples in my mind. So like disadvise, emplain, ecosystem, etc. So usually it is invented, you can say, in the heat of the speaking and writing. So they are immediately understandable because we already know the meaning of the part. We mostly know about the word we use. So the derivational affixes attached to the base form of a word to create a new word as well. So I'll explain you how, like verb to noun, like preserve to preservation, and then verb to verb, like appear to disappear, and then verb to adjective, like bored to boring, and then adjective to noun, like ugly to ugliness, likewise. The next one is clipping. So a clipping means like cutting off the beginning or the end of a word, or both, leaving a part to stand for the whole, like you can say lab, dorm, prof, like for professor, exam, from examination, etc. So the backlipped words are those words that lose their forepart, like plane and phone, like aeroplane and telephone. So dear students, clipping is the word formation process in which a word is reduced or shortened without changing the meaning of the word. So dear students, there are like 4 types of clipping I have mentioned over here: back clipping, fore clipping, middle clipping, and then there is also complex clipping I have mentioned over here. Let's study about them one by one. So first of all, there is backclipping. Backclipping is removing the end of a word, as in gas, from gasoline. I hope you got the idea. The main root word over here is gasoline, and we removed the end part of this word and just used the word gas. So it is called backclipping. Then there is foreclipping. Foreclipping is removing the beginning of a word, as in gator from alligator. Alligator is the main root word, and what we did over here, we removed the beginning, that is alley, and we use the word gator. It is called like foreclipping. Then the next one is middle clipping. Middle clipping is retaining only of a middle of a word, as in flu from influenza. Means we only use the middle part of that word, like influenza, and but we say the word flu instead of influenza. So it is called like middle clipping. Complex clipping. Complex clipping is removing multiple parts from multiple words, as in sitcom from situational comedy. If you see, these are two words, situation, comedy. We took sit from situation and com from the word comedy. We made it a sitcom, like from situation comedy. So some of, you can say, the most common products of clipping are names like Liz, Ron, Rob, Sue, and so on. So there are others as well. So the students, clipping occurs when a word with more than one syllable is reduced to a shorter form. I have explained you about it: gasoline, advertisement, and laboratory, telephone, examination, etc. Let's study about coinage. So dear students, reconstruction and addition of new words, it is called or known as coinage. So words created from like scratch or derived from names of individuals, places, or product names. So coinage is the, you can say, invention of totally new terms. So trade names of, you can say, of commercial products that become general terms, like aspirin, or you can say Sexron, and then new words based on the name of person or thing, like jeans, sandwich, Hoover, for example, and so on. So dear students, basically coinage is a creation, you can say, of new words without reference to the existing morphological resources of the language, that is solely out of the sounds of the language. So coining is very, you can say, rare, but the most typical resources are invented trade name for commercial products that become like general terms, usually without capital letters, for any version of products. So the word formation process of inventing entirely new words. So for example, there are some words in my mind like robotics, and then genocide. These are totally new words. And black hole, blog, then internet as well, Google, and aspirin as well. So there are some examples given over here. Recruitment. I'll explain you about the given examples as well, what they mean. Recruitment, it is like online recruitment of employees, like online submission of resumes, CVs, you can say, and cover letters. Then there is netbook. Netbook, you can say, small laptop computer which weighs like less than 3 pounds and has a 7 to 10 inch screen. So these are called like netbook. Then there is not spot. Yes, you have heard about hotspot, but this is not spot. Not spot, you can say, is an area where there is slow internet access or no connection at all. So whenever you are in such areas where you feel problem in internet connection, that area will be not spot. Then Slumdog. Slumdog, I hope you must have seen the movie Slumdog Millionaire and you have got the idea about it. So Slumdog means very poor, underprivileged person who lives in an overcrowded slum, like people who lives in huts are very poor. So these are the examples of coinage. I hope you got the idea about it. Let's study forward. Acronym. So dear students, acronym is, you can say, is the process whereby a word is formed from the initials or beginning segments of a succession of words. For example, like NATO. NATO stands for like North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and then other word I've given over here, I'll read it later. So acronym, you can say, are created by using the initial letters of a longer name or term which consists of several words. So the new form is pronounced as a word, not just letters. Then it is a simple abbreviation. You must have known about it. So example is given over here, like for radar. Radar is actually abbreviation for the word radio detection and ranging. And then there are others as well, like NATO, NAFTA, then FEROM, CD, VCR, ATM. You must have known about it, etc. So dear students, initialism and you can say or acronym are shortening, like built from the initial letters in a phrase or name, while acronyms are pronounced as single words like NASA, AIDS. Initialism are pronounced as a sequence of letters like DNA, USA. These are also abbreviation, or you can say like initialisms. So some acronyms even become words of our everyday language, such as we use the word laser and we use the word zip code. But the most famous word based on a shortening is the initialism OK. Can you tell me the full word of OK? OK is just abbreviation. So initialism and acronyms can be like subdivided into few groups, like acronyms containing the non-initial letters, then pronounced as a combination of initialism and acronym like CD-ROM, etc. Then recursive initialism, in which the abbreviation refers to itself, like PHP. Then there is also pseudo-initialism, which consists of, you can say, a sequence of characters that when pronounced as intended invoke others longer words like IOU, CU, then for CU. So this kind of initialism is frequently seen on the internet, which today's generation is using a lot. Then initialism, whose last abbreviation word is often, you can say, redundantly included anyway, like pin number, you can say. So dear students, then you can say words from initial of a set of words, and I have again some examples in my mind, like scuba. Have you heard about scuba diving? Yes, scuba, actually it is abbreviation for self-contained underwater breathing apparatus. Yes, scuba stands for this long word or phrase, you can say. Then radar, I've already told you, radio detection and ranging. Then laser. Do you know the full word laser? Laser is just an abbreviation for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Yes. Then pin, you use pin code. Pin, PIN, it stands for like personal identification number. Yes. So I hope you got the idea about acronym. Let's study about the next one. Okay, so the next up is blending. Blending is the fusion of, you can say, two words into one. Usually the first part of one word with the last part of another, as in gasol, or from gasoline and alcohol. So this is one word from these two, gasoline and alcohol. So the two classes, you can say, blends and clipped words, are not sharply separated, and some words may be like put into either class. So you can read over here, a blending is a combination of two or more words to create a new word, usually by taking the beginning of the other word and the end of other word. So this is the third word. You actually use three words. You take beginning of other word and the end of other word and the middle section of another word. So these are some examples given over here. Let's study them, and after that I'll tell you some more examples about it so that you can get the clear idea about it. Brunch. Do you use this word? You know the meaning? What is brunch? Brunch is actually breakfast plus lunch. When you have your meal at this time, that is not the time of breakfast and the lunch exactly, then you just have a brunch. So mortal is actually from motor and hotel, it becomes mortal. Smog is actually mixture of these two words, smog plus fog. Then webinar, it comes from web plus seminar. So dear students, blending involves like taking two or more words, as I have told you. So removing parts of each and joining the, you can say, residues together to create a new word whose form and meaning are taken from the source words. For example, I have told you about smog, brunch, mortal, webinar, and then again I have a word like transistor, like transfer plus resistor, that is called like transistor. Then autobus, automobile plus omnibus. Then escalator, escalade and elevator. Yeah, so this is the whole idea about blending. Let's study about the next one. Conversion, a change actually in the function of a word, as for example when a noun comes to be used as a verb without any reduction, you can say it is generally known as conversion. And other labels for this very common process are like category change and function shift, as you can see in this page. So conversion is category change and functional shift, and actually it is a very productive process. In this, what happens? A noun becomes a verb. A noun becomes a verb like butter, vacation, bottle, up and down. And verbs become nouns, and verb changes into noun. This is the conversion, like guess or spy. Phrasal verbs become nouns. Phrasal verbs changes to, you convert to nouns, like to print out or to take over. And verbs become adjective. What happens to the verb? So verb become adjectives like see through or stand up. Adjective become verbs like dirty, empty, total. Adjective convert into nouns like crazy or nasty. So in compound nouns perform adjective functions like ballpark, a ballpark figure, or to ballpark estimate of the cost, and so on. So this is all about the conversion. Borrowing. Borrowing is, you can say, one of the most common sources of new words in English, and it is labeled as borrowing. So it means taking over of words from other languages. So throughout its history, you can say the English language has adopted a vast number of words from other languages. So borrowing is the process of actually borrowing words from foreign languages. So you can notice that in English language, it has been borrowing words from nearly like 100 languages in the last 100 years. And the other way around, many countries have also taken many English words into their dictionaries as well, such as the well-known OK or internet. These words have been used by many other languages. So most of the loan words, you can say, are nouns. Only some of them are verbs or adjective. Most of them are nouns. So there are some examples given over here. I've taken them from Latin, Greek, French, Sanskrit or Hindi, and we are using it into our English language as well. So like there in Latin, memorandum, agenda, PM and AM. So these are the words adopted by from the Latin language, and then from Greek, pneumonia, panorama or psychology. From French it is bureau, cafe or chauffeur. Sanskrit, chakra, mahatma, nirvana. And then from Hindi it is avatar, bungalow, jungle, pajamas, yoga and pandit. So these are all the borrowed words from other languages, and we are using it into our English language as well. Back formation. Actually, the students, a complex word exists first, and then the non-affixed form is derived later. For example, there are to babysit from like babysitter, and to edit from editor, to laze from lazy, and you can say to enthuse from enthusiasm, so on. So dear students, back formation is the formation of new words by the removal of an affix. So it may be defined as the formation of a word from one that looks like its derivative. So when a back formation becomes established in the language, we can only tell that it is a back formation if we know the etymology of the word in question. So now there are some examples given over here. Sculpt. This word comes from sculptor. Then the next is burgle. It comes from the word burglar. Then proofread is from proofreading. And then scavenger, we took the word scavenge from scavenger. And then skydive, obviously it is coming from skydiving. And then babysit, it is from babysitting. So there are other words in my mind, like to vacuum, it comes from like vacuum cleaner. Then air condition, it's from air conditioning, and then so on. I have also some other examples in my mind about it. So you can say like nouns or verbs, reduction of nouns to form verbs like television, televise, donation, donate, option, opt, emotion, emote, editor, edit, and so on. So you can also write more examples about it, about the back formation. Echoism. So echoism is the formation of words whose sound suggests their meaning, like hiss and purr. So the sound is either natural, like the roar of a waterfall, or artificial, like the clang of a bell. So these are actually the words, and you can say you just understand about those words by just listening the sounds. You get the immediate idea about that thing or person or place or animal, whatever you're talking about, you're hearing the sound about. So there are some examples given over here. Dear students, can you guess what these words suggest? What are the sounds or the words, or you can say animals? What is coming into your mind when you just read these words? Buzz, sizzle, cuckoo, bang, hush, etc. So dear students, in literature, echoism is referred to as onomatopoeia. For example, click. What is click? Murmur, murmur, murmuring. Whisper, whisper. Do you whisper? Okay, so these are also the examples of echoism. Folk etymology. So let me tell you about it first. Folk etymology, or you can also call it reanalysis. Sometimes it is called like popular etymology. So it is actually a change in word or phrase resulting from the replacement of an unfamiliar form by a more familiar one, you can say. So the form or the meaning of an archaic, or you can say foreign or otherwise unfamiliar word is reanalyzed as resembling more familiar words or morphemes. So dear students, changing a word in part or in whole to make it more understandable and more like familiar words. So for example, there are two types, type A and type B. Type A is about foreign word. So cockroach was borrowed from Spanish cockroacha, but was folk etymologized as cock plus roach. And type B is one part when it becomes obsolete. So sand blind. So you can say like sand blind, as if blinded by the sand. From Old English, like Sam blind means that half blind. Sam is, you can say, once common prefix cognate with semi. So this is all about folk etymology. Antonomasia. Antonomasia, you can say it's a figure of speech in which some defining word or phrase is, you can say, substituted for a person's proper name. For example, the Bard of Avon, it's for William Shakespeare. So antonomasia means the formation of common noun, a verb or an adjective from the name of a person or place. I have given some examples over here. Let's study them and try to understand about the whole idea. So sandwich is from, you can say, it's a name of a person who once spent like 24 hours at the gaming table with no other refreshment. He had eaten nothing, then some slices of cold beef between slices of toast. So that is why it is called like sandwich. It is with the reference of that person's name, the word. And the next one is Frisbin. So it is from the Frisbee Bakery in Bridgewater. It's a place where there was a bakery, Frisbee. So from there the name came. And then Vandal, from the Vandals, a Germanic people who overran southern Europe 1500 years ago and sacked and looted Rome in the 5th century. So this is the history about this name. So names from the history and literature have given us, you can say, common nouns. For example, there is a word a lover. For instance, for example, may be called a Romeo, a Donjon, or a Casanova. So you can call them as well. So this is all about antonomasia. Let's study the next page. Reduplication. So actually reduplication is the process of forming new words either by doubling an entire word, means total reduplication, or part of a word, means partial reduplication. So in English it makes use of reduplication very sporadically, you can say. So total reduplication is extremely rare. It never happens. It happens once in a blue moon, you can say. So what is the example of partial reduplication? Like Humpty Dumpty and like Hocus Pocus. So let's study about this page as well. So reduplication is the process of forming a new word by doubling a morpheme. When you double a morpheme, usually with the change of vowel or initial consonant. So actually we change them, a vowel or initial consonant, as in poo poo, tip top and hanky panky. Okay, so these are the examples of this. So the basic morpheme is the second half, like dilly dally, but it may be, you can say, the first half like tick tock, or both halves like sing song, neither half like boogie woogie. So these are the example of this. The basic morpheme is the second half. So it involves actually three meanings. The first one is the process. The second one is the result of the process. It means that is the new word when you create the new word. Then the element is repeated in this method. So the repeated element is the basic or originating morpheme. So the new word in the end, it is called twin words. So this is all about reduplication. So okay dear students, now we have come to the conclusion of whatever we have learnt about our today's lecture. So as we have seen before, there are many ways to create new words. So finally, if we take a look around, we will see a mass of new words surrounding us, brought to us both consciously by language trends and unconsciously through language change over time. Sometimes we use different words even when we have not heard about them. but we just speak them. So language changes constantly. Continuously, language is a changing process. We use language according to the situation and circumstances, and who knows if the people will understand the language we are using now in a few decades? Who knows about it? So we have no clear idea about it. So that's about the conclusion of it. Dear students, I have mentioned references. These are the references sites over here. If you want to check out about the data we have used, you can go and check out the given data from these links. So dear students, that was all from my side. I hope you had the lesson understood. Thank you so very much. Allah Hafiz.